U.S. President Donald Trump's decision on Section 232 has been a key topic in the uranium market since it was announced in mid-July. In the aftermath of the news, INN asked uranium CEOs and executives to share their thoughts on Trump's comments. Here's what they had to say.
I think President Trump made the decision in the best interest for his country, and it was a national security discussion that they had around, is it a threat, uranium being imported from Canada, Australia, Kazakhstan, Russia, other places? I think argument can be made maybe some of those countries, but with respect to Canada, I think he made absolutely the right call on Australia, like long-standing allies, long history of supplying each other. So we were very pleased that he decided no trade action under Section 232 that would have potentially impacted Canada.
The truth is, I couldn't care less. The important thing for us was that a decision was made so that you could have those US utilities, the world's biggest consumer of uranium. They buy 30% of the world's uranium. We wanted them back into the market and buying again, so they needed certainty as to where that supply could come from, and so that's happened now, and we're starting to see the uranium price rise off the back of that. So that's the honest answer, but at the end of the day, I think it's good for the global producers the way he's gone. So we're in pretty good position now.
It was in line with what I've been saying to everybody. Yeah. My position on this was I understood where the miners were coming from, but at the same time I always felt it was slightly bipolar to be providing funding support to keep reactors open, while at the same time arguing that they should pay more for their fuel. I also felt that geopolitically there's risk that the US is falling behind Russia and China on the expansion of nuclear energy globally, and that has geopolitical influences for the longer term. So it was not a particular surprise. I think the 90-day working group, I haven't seen any clarification what it's going to do, so the question is, what is its purpose? Because under the original Section 232, they had made it into a wider review anyway. So I'm not quite sure what the difference is.
I agree that there should be no quotas. All the politics can't fix geology. America simply doesn't have the geology for cheap uranium production. I agree with the decision no quotas, but there shouldn't have been a working group. It just added uncertainty, which I think has only hurt the industry more.
You know what, I never betted on that, because it was either political or it was something that was technical. We're in Canada here, we got lots of uranium. We're quite happy to give to the US. Lots of countries can't supply all of their resource needs. So I think he made a business decision.
I think the Section 232 is such an irrelevancy that it's taken on an importance way beyond what it should be for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the US is only 25% of the global market. Of that, the little producers are hoping that they will supply 25% of that 25%, which is 12 million pounds, which they could never do where it's such an embryonic industry. So if they could supply 6 million pounds, which is doubtful, it wouldn't have nothing to do with the current problem of supply in the world. 75% of the nuclear is offshore to US. It's blindsided everybody, and you can tell that by the massive destruction of value that the US overvalued, and that expectation that happened. So no, I don't think it's a good thing it's out of the way. I think this review that's now happening has got nothing to do with the producers, because the nuclear lobbies, who are powerful, who destroyed those aspirations, are not going to allow anything like this to come in through the back door, which they're very much opposed to.
The next question, of course, is what comes after Section 232? Some executives believe that Trump's comments have reduced uncertainty in the market and utilities will now start buying.
So what happens now is basically the demand side. We've seen all the supply side actions, like mines shutting because costs are high and prices are low. So we've seen all that happen. What we haven't seen yet is utilities come back to market in a meaningful way and sign long-term contracts. They basically have been on the sidelines waiting to see what the world looks like under, the tariff man, President Trump. And now that they've got clarity around that there are no tariffs or trade actions globally, they can come back to market with certainty around what the landscape looks like. And so we would expect that would be the next major step in the sector.
I think what you have seen is a clarity that there will be no quotas. So at least that part of it is taken away. So anyone who needs to buy uranium at least knows he isn't restricted on where he can buy his uranium from. So I think, yes, that bit of clarity has been dealt with. On the rest, who's what is going to come out of this, and is this just an advanced can-kicking exercise?
Others pointed out that the uranium industry is still waiting for comments from Trump's working group.
That allows those utilities to come in and start buying again. I think that'll start to have a pretty significant impact in the second half of this year. Of course, Cameco have got to buy more product as well in the spot market, so that'll have a big impact also. And I think, the big thing to come out of that Trump decision on 232 was that he's spending 90 days now creating a working group to look at nuclear energy in the US. And I would not be surprised if the upshot of that is that he says, right, we're going to, tackle a whole bunch of problems, tackle climate change, tackle energy security and energy pricing by going much more nuclear than the US already is. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see at the end of that period an announcement of new reactor construction. So I think it's a very exciting time for the space in the US.
Well, I think once this working paper is out of the way, the certainty of what happened will really help. We need uncertainty out of the equation. And so once something is done, whether they do this, I don't care. Just make a decision. And I think that will allow the Western utilities to start buying again. And that's the key. They need to go in there and buy in the spot price for it to move up and the stocks do better.
Overall, uranium market participants are glad to have moved past Section 232, but opinions differ on where the market may go from here, particularly in terms of Trump's working group and utilities. If you're interested in uranium, you'll definitely want to keep those two factors in mind. If you want to learn more about the uranium market, you can check out our website, and you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.